Right beneath our feet, there is a massive, high-speed biological processing plant running 24 hours a day. This is the domain of decomposers. They are nature's ultimate recycling crew, doing the critical work of making sure the Earth doesn't end up buried under its own dead material. Many of these organisms are what biologists call saprotrophs. A saprotroph is an organism, like certain fungi and bacteria, that feeds exclusively on dead and decaying organic matter. They don't simply eat the waste, they actively dismantle it. These organisms break down complex dead molecules into simpler substances, eventually converting them into a dark, rich material known as humus. That humus acts as a highly effective natural fertilizer. It takes all the essential nutrients locked up in the dead wood or fallen leaves and releases them directly back into the soil, perfectly prepped for new plants to absorb. If you take this microscopic recycling loop offline, the entire system stops. Dead matter would pile up endlessly, nutrients remain trapped in the debris, and new plant life would starve. This delicate balancing act scales all the way up. Macroscopic ecosystems operate as highly interconnected webs. When human expansion pulls on a single thread, the vibrations travel through the entire system. Take deforestation. Cutting down trees clears land, but it also strips away the primary food and water sources that large wildlife depend on, forcing them out of their natural ranges. Pushed to the edge, wild animals like elephants have to wander directly into human villages just to survive. This leads to destroyed crops, property damage, and dangerous conflicts with local residents. We can see similar chain reactions when we introduce new chemicals into an environment. In the 1990s, farmers across India began using a medication called diclofenac to treat pain and inflammation in their livestock. When those cattle died, they were left for scavengers. This inadvertently poisoned the Indian vulture, nature's primary scavenger, which suffered massive kidney failure after feeding on the treated carcasses. By accidentally removing this single keystone species, a species on which other members of an ecosystem largely depend, the entire scavenger loop broke. Carcasses piled up, allowing feral dogs to move in, accelerating the spread of rabies. Water systems offer an even clearer look at how fast these human-made disruptions can cascade. Let's trace a typical pond ecosystem. Chemical runoff enters the pond, dropping oxygen levels. Aquatic plants die. Without these oxygen generators, fish suffocate and collapse. Unchecked, insect populations explode and swarm neighboring farms. Farmers react with heavy pesticides, which inevitably wash straight back into the pond, restarting the deadly cycle. Attempting to patch a broken ecological loop with chemical interventions usually accelerates the collapse, creating deeper and more complex environmental failures. We don't have to choose between human progress and ecological survival. We can repair these loops by building our infrastructure and agriculture around nature's existing rules. Take the habitat fragmentation that pushes elephants into villages. We can mitigate that by constructing ecological corridors, dedicated pathways that allow animals to move through human-dominated landscapes safely. By engineering massive green bridges over busy highways, we reconnect fragmented forests. The wildlife can migrate and forage naturally, completely bypassing the dangerous traffic and human settlements below. We can apply the same logic to our food supply. Instead of relying on a constant stream of synthetic chemicals, we can use an agricultural method called crop rotation. This chart demonstrates how swapping out plant varieties season by season, like moving from corn to legumes to wheat, naturally replenishes the soil. Different plants absorb and release different nutrients, which maintains fertility and naturally disrupts the life cycles of crop-destroying pests. We can even harness the power of those microscopic decomposers we saw earlier. Through composting, we purposefully feed our organic food waste to saprotrophs, letting them do the heavy lifting of converting our trash back into nutrient-rich humus. Sustainable living doesn't require us to abandon modern technology. It simply requires us to look at nature's highly efficient, self-sustaining biogeochemical loops and design our systems to match them. This approach allows us to create entirely new human-made ecosystems, from school gardens and urban parks to fully restored wetlands. But unlike deep wilderness, these constructed spaces cannot self-regulate. They require active, continuous human management to survive and thrive. By selectively cultivating native plants, conserving local water runoff, and encouraging natural pest control, we can turn what was once a degraded landscape into a thriving, functional ecosystem right next to our cities. True sustainability comes from understanding how these systems work in harmony. When we respect the biological machinery that runs the planet, we make choices that keep the cycle of life turning for both the natural world and ourselves.